U.S. President Joe Biden has said he is considering a request by Ukraine to use weapons provided by the U.S. to strike deep inside Russian territory. Biden's admission on Tuesday comes as his government is split over whether to allow the use of U.S. weapons with the State Department, in which is more open to Kiev's request, pitted against the Pentagon and the U.S. intelligence community. "We're working that out right now," Joe Biden said when asked by reporters whether he would allow Ukraine to use American Long-Range Army Tactical Missile System, or ATACMS, to target sites inside Russia. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has repeatedly called for restrictions on Western-supplied, long-range weapons to be lifted so his military can strike Russian airfields and missile launchers, as well as the ammunition depots, fuel storage, and command and control centers that are critical to Moscow's war. Washington in recent months has shifted away from a blanket ban on the use of U.S.-supplied weapons to attack Russian territory, allowing Ukraine to deploy them for defensive strikes. But Zelensky is pressing the U.S. and other Western countries to permit the use of long-range weaponry deep inside Russia as part of his strategy of increasing the cost of the invasion for President Vladimir Putin. Antony Blinken, U.S. Secretary of State, is traveling to Ukraine this week with UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy to meet Zelensky and discuss his request and show support for their ally. Ahead of the visit, Blinken told a press conference in London, "We'll be listening intently to our Ukrainian partners. We'll both be reporting back to the British Prime Minister, to President Biden in the coming days." He added that Biden would discuss the matter with Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, when he visits Washington on Friday. The UK has urged the US to grant Ukraine permission to use long-range weapons provided by its Western allies deep inside Russia, and believes Kiev should be able to target Russian sites and assets. U.S. sign-off is needed in order for Ukraine to use the Storm Shadow missiles provided by the UK for long-range strikes inside Russia. While the U.S. State Department is more receptive to arguments from Ukraine and many of its Western allies, the Pentagon and U.S. intelligence community have cautioned against the use of the long-range weapons deep inside Russia. The latter recently assessed that 90% of Russian aircraft have been relocated to airfields at least 300 kilometers away from Ukrainian-controlled territory outside of the range of ATACMS. "I don't believe one specific capability will be decisive. We know that the Russians have actually moved their aircraft that are using the glide bombers beyond the range of ATACMS," U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said at a meeting of the Ukraine Contact Group at Ramstein Air Base in Germany last week. He added that Ukraine could target strategic targets inside Russia with drones and other domestically produced weapons. U.S. defense officials say Kyiv should prioritize using Western weapons to defend eastern and northern regions of Ukraine, as well as to retain access to the Black Sea and to pressure Russian forces in Crimea, the peninsula annexed by Putin in 2014.